time we left, they were calling it Connecticut Farnsworth because there was just blood everywhere.
We took it over, man.
And they were like, there's going to be kindergartners in here, and we need to get this blood.
Some kindergartners taking a piss next to a pool of blood, you know? It's not exactly what they want, but those guys, you know, we got a lot of great stuff done there. I don't know, you know, what the future of the Orphan Killer is pretty bright, honestly. I mean, it's going to be a franchise, and I didn't sell it. I had offers from different people like Lionsgate and Anchor Bay and all those kinds of people, but I mean, you know, you do that route and then you don't own it anymore. It's not yours, and those guys suck.
And it ends up at the $2 bin at Walmart, and nobody cares about it. And we didn't want to see that happen with this film. We knew that this film was a fan film, and we want to keep giving it to the fans.
You can't go corporate. You know, the corporate thing is just destroys art. I mean, they would take this thing and they would cut all of the good parts out.
They'd cut everything out.
And then it would be an hour and 10 minutes, and it would be pointless, and it would be in the $2 bin at Walmart. And that just wasn't where we wanted to go. So we did what we had to do, and I think it was worth it. You know, I think that we're still plugging away at it, and that's fine. We're happy with that.
So it's safe to say that The Orphan Killer is y'all's baby. Like, you went independent, you're Diane, you're a producer, and Matt, like, every other thing was yours, right? Like, you directed, cut, shot it, acted.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that we don't want to work with other people. We're happy to. We just want to make sure that The Orphan Killer sees the right light of day.
Right. We had other producers. We had a producer working for us. We had other people helping us to get the things together that need to be gotten together. I mean, there's a lot of
we had a really great team of people.
There's a lot to producing. You know, you have to you have to have somebody that's doing all the logistics to get the thing together. You got to have people that are talking to location managers and people on site and things. There's important roles that have to be played. On the creative side, we're not really looking for a whole lot of help. You know, we don't need that necessarily. I don't really need a lot. I need a great first AC, somebody to pull focus for me so I can shoot. I need somebody who can run a really good helicopter. I need somebody who can, you know, run a great crane and do some crane shots for me. I mean, that kind of stuff I need, but beyond that,
we know what we want to see, and we know what the fans want.
We
and
know.
That's most important.
The special effects are really key, like David Presto and Josh Turry. I mean, they did a great job on the effects in The Orphan Killer, and so that's a really creative job.
Yeah, and that was really important. We talked about that. We wanted all of the special effects. We wanted to see the gore. And it had to be really realistic. So we hired two, I think, some of the best special effects artists in the world to do it. So they were really passionate about it. And I think they had like a little competition with each other. Like, I'll do this. I'll do the machete to the face better than you do the, you know, axe to the throat or whatever. So it was really neat to see them work. And we're really pleased to have them.
The movie just, I mean, I can't say it enough. The movie does look just fantastic. Like, I grew up with the Freddy and Jason, but then I saw this and I was like, it's good to now have a new face that can bring something fresh. And I really, really enjoyed that.
It's awesome. A whole new era.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to do with this. The Orphan Killer is in some ways an homage to the 80s. Because we grew up watching those films as well, and we love them, and they'll always be there. But it's time to embrace a new guy. So that's what we want to do, and you know, the fans are showing their love for us, and we just want to keep making these movies, and we will make 12 of them if we can.
He's a god. He's like a god down in South America. I mean, we had like 1,000 South American fans a day.
Really?
Like
yeah.
in Santiago, Chile,
We're like David Hasselhoff in Germany for South America.
I swear they wake up and pray to be okay every day in Chile. You know what I mean? In
right.
Santiago,
which we're very happy about.
It's crazy. So we're lucky about that. I mean, frankly, it's just, and we'll keep growing it. I mean, the more fans we have on Facebook and social media, I think it makes it, you know, a little more valid for people, and it makes them go check it out. I think that the movie alone is fantastic, and I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. I mean, it's a damn good movie, and people really enjoy it, and I want them to see it. And it's hard to get people sometimes to understand that it's not. There's so many movies made today, so many independent films that, you know, a couple guys get a, you know, Canon, you know, it's a movie, and people are just now getting that, you know, and they're getting also that he's not an orphan
who kills orphans.
He's an
You
orphan
know how many
himself.
people have
So.
said that to us. I mean, oh my, they raise their eyebrows. Oh my gosh, he kills orphans.
You're
You
sick.
heathens, what's wrong with you? But I think that the Orphan Killer also has a lot of social issues, you know, that we bring up, and I think that's important. That's part of our job as filmmakers to do that. So.
Yeah, my mom, when I brought the movie in, my mom was kind of curious. She goes, "He kills orphans? That's terrible. Let's watch it." I was like, "Okay."
The name is good. If he was the orphaned killer or the killer orphan, it wouldn't have been,
do the same thing.
I don't think it's as cool as the orphan killer. It's like
I dig it. Now, how does it feel to be like in the same category as Evil Dead and Texas Chainsaw Massacre by being banned in Germany?
That's cool. Yeah. No complaint. You know,
We're very honored by it, frankly. I mean, it's a feat that I don't think any other independent slasher film has ever done. So,
Evil Dead was originally indie, I think, when they made it, but studio put it out. Times are changing. You know, the Orphan Killer is really the icon of the download generation. And so, you know, you're a different generation. And so, you know, and I just think that's the generation for this icon, you know. They had theirs when it went out on VHS. And the icon of the VHS generation was Freddy and Jason and Michael and the theater and that stuff. And now the world has changed, and it's you know,
the internet.
Everything's online. Look at us talking now. I mean, we're
right,
and thousands of miles apart, and we're talking, and that's really amazing. I mean, I couldn't imagine that even 5 years ago. So, let alone 25 years ago. So things have really changed, and I think the new wave is seriously social media, and I think that the reason why it's banned is because of social media. I mean, I did a limited release on Facebook to fans, and the piracy took it viral, and somehow, without even a proper release in Germany, I mean, it's not like the film is released in Germany.
Yeah.
So how the hell are they banning it? Well, they just are, because it's that powerful, and the power of social media has, you know, struck a chord with them. And so that's where we're at now in the world, and we're just trying to navigate our way through it, you know?
It's working. Who played the Orphan Killer? Can y'all say that, or? All right, cool.
Well, we try not to talk too much about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He is the Orphan Killer.
Yeah, the Orphan Killer. There is no actor.
Don't you see my shirt? Marcus Miller played him.
Oh, yes. Now, did both of you go to like any schooling or for like
for film? You mean?
For film, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. You want to begin?
No, I mean I went to the school of
Hard Knocks.
Yeah, go to different studios, you know, and read for different things. And you name it. I mean,
Matt was an actor before he became a filmmaker. He did, you know, he was up for huge roles. He's been in very major rooms. He went up to Skywalker Ranch and met George Lucas, met Jonathan Mostow for Terminator.
You name it, bro. Christopher Nolan.
I've
been in Warner Brothers, Universal. I always wanted to make movies, but I had to get my feet wet somehow.
Right.
When I first came to LA, I think my looks were more like.
Well, you had no tattoos.
I mean, I look like Leonardo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt or one of those guys, you know. So I was like a good-looking, you know, young guy, 21, and you know, fresh-faced and ready to take on the world. And the best way for me to do that was not say, "Hey, I want to be a director," looking the way I did. It was, let's figure out how this business works as an actor and go in and try to read. And so I did, and I worked on movie sets and independent films, and I learned a lot. But I was always writing. I was always a writer, and always wanted to be. And never really had a big desire to do other people's pictures too much, because I had too much input anyway, and I could see what they were doing wrong most of the time. But because of my sort of youthful looks and the way my disposition, they weren't really going to take my advice. And so I just kind of held in there and hung in there for about a decade of doing that. And once I hung in there, you know, I got my shot, and I realized horror is a great genre for me. And I like all genres. I can make any kind of film. I mean, you saw Iowa, so not really a horror movie per se, but hey, you know, I've had fun and I'm pretty happy with it. But my start was definitely just purely doing it and not, you know, a certain specific set school for that. I learned those skills by doing it on set. Iowa was really a big film school for me because I had to make my first film, and it was big. It was $1 million film, and I couldn't screw up. And so I really had to be on point and learn everything in an instant. And I think that was good for me. Hard, but good.
You got an A.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I started in theater. I grew up right outside of New York City, and I always loved performing, and I had won awards when I was a kid, acting. I went to conservatory with Anne Hathaway, who is now an Oscar winner. And so I had a lot of really great professionals who taught me, you know, how to act and sing and dance and all that stuff. So I came to Los Angeles and just started doing indie films. And then Matt and I met, and we decided we wanted to make Iowa. And now, you know, the rest is history.
And she beat Anne Hathaway. She was up against her. There's a big award called the Rising Star Award. And their senior year, they were up against each other for that award, and they played the same role at different schools, and then they have an award that they give out for that. And Diane actually beat Anne Hathaway, you know, for that.
Sweet.
Diane's a much better actress, and you know, Anne is just I think it's a joke. I think it's just a total shit. I don't get it at all. It just shows you sort of what Hollywood is, you know. And I mean, I appreciate Hollywood. Hell, I've lived there forever. I love the city. But there's a seedy part to it that, you know, it's just a bunch of kind of BS political.
You kind of have to maneuver
jumbo
around it and just, you know, stay true to yourself and be, you know, the good person you are.
You get lost. You get lost in Hollywood, man. It's a crazy place. And we're just lucky that we've actually been able to make a mark on it, I think, and actually, you know, make a film like this. And Hollywood doesn't really shine to, you know, horror in general.
Not at
you know?
all.
I mean, I had Morris and places like that who are no longer my agents because they just don't even deal in horror, even though I've made a horror icon.
Right, they were like, horror, nah.
They're very strange, you know.
Blah.
Right, it's like crazy. They don't give it, you know, the enough attention, really, I think, that it deserves.
But meanwhile, all their business is just going like this, you know what I mean? Because they don't deal in social, they're older, they don't get it, they don't do social media, they don't know anything about the internet. I mean, that's where it's all at now, is individual businesses and individual people doing their own work and releasing it to people that, on their subscriber list and their fan base that they've built themselves. And that's what we're finding is we're getting people coming to us and saying, you got a huge fan base, man. Can we work with you? And you sort of become that sort of studio in yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think that's sort of what's happening here, and we're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, with all the remakes and stuff, you know, it's just really hard to find something that's true and good and just really good. But you know, and I stumbled upon that, and I was like, it's fantastic. So,
right. I mean, it didn't come out of like the Halloween came out of John Carpenter's brain, and for the first time, it was shot, and after that, it's now not the original thing that he made, and definitely not 25 years later. Some guy who's watched that movie 5 times that decides to write a sequel, you know, or a remake. It's not going to be good. I mean, you know, come up with your own frickin' idea. You know what I mean? Like, please stop playing my movie at your concerts, okay? Like I'm cool with it. Like,
I don't know if he knows about that.
I'm cool with like Rob Zombie.
Do you know that he played our movie at his concert?
Rob Zombie?
Marilyn Manson, yeah.
Really?
Like projected my movie at their concert, you know, in New Jersey when they were doing their Twins of Evil tour. And like they didn't even give a shout out or like say this is the Orphan Killer. They just kind of used it as, you know, media to play. I'm like, you know, in one way
this is great shit to rock out to.
in one way it's cool. Thank you for using that, but in another way it's also another look at why he's not so original. You know, because he's got to use, you know, other people's stuff to create, and I think that's where we really shine is in that film world, is original media.
Yeah, the soundtrack to The Orphan Killer was amazing. Like I was surprised when I opened it up. I was like, "Ooh, a soundtrack!" So I played it on the way to work, and I was still just.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Those guys are cool. The soundtrack's rad.
Soundtrack is one of my favorites, actually, of all time. And not just because we made it, but we worked with Bullet Tooth Records, and those bands were really happy to be part of the soundtrack. And
First Blood is cool. That first track,
yes.
Man, I love First Blood. Even
I like the
cool, like Head Against the Wall. That was pretty good.
the one from
Deception of a Ghost.
Bullet for a Pretty Boy.
Bullet for a Pretty Boy.
Yeah.
You got in there, Asking Alexandria